Mr. Sharon, she has plane tickets to leave for tomorrow morning. So when we bring the group in, we'll need to get her finished before we leave today. So my hope is you all can do your generals. We'll take her first and then see where we go. And I think that's a reasonable plan. Does anybody see a problem with that?
No, Your Honor. No, ma'am.
Well, we just need to stay here, get it done for her. All right. We can have the jurors. Yes, sir. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a lovely evening. We're ready to resume jury selection. Ms. Turley, you can proceed for the state.
Thank you, Mary.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Juror 20. Start by asking you about your employment. Let's see, I've got here that you take care of second homes. Tell me about that, please.
Well, several clients. One depends on which client I open the doors, depending on what I do. Mainly I clean for most. I do, however, have one client that comes and I'm with her pretty much all day, kind of like an assistant.
Okay.
Whatever she needs. I do cooking and making beds.
Kind of like a personal assistant of sorts.
Yeah, and I'm meeting contractors.
Okay.
So, different trades. It's a very large house.
Okay.
Vehicles a lot of money. On a regular basis.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that?
I started cleaning when my son was born. Offices at night. I was nursing, so my husband had it at night. I worked. And then, so I've been doing that 23 years.
Okay. Quite a while. Any other type of work history or anything different?
My husband and I work in home maintenance business. So in the winter months when I'm slow, I'm cleaning.
So sometimes the two of you are working together in that business, and sometimes you're doing something totally different.
7 days a week. When I'm on the job site.
Okay.
That's my son.
Okay. And how long have you all had the company? Okay, so same amount of time then.
Since we moved here. And my husband had his own private family company making food.
Is that where you're from, the making your... Okay. All right. And your son is 23?
Yes.
All right. No grandkids yet? Okay. And then looking at your answer to the question about supervisor and hiring and firing, presumably with the business, just
Yes.
contractors and that type of...
We do that together.
What about military folks you know or in your family?
My father, my grandfather, father, and brother are all retired men. Both my father and brother went into government positions when they retired. My grandfather was a fireman. He retired. My first husband was Army. I spent 8 years in the military life.
Did you move around a lot?
I spent 8 months in Texas, 2 years and 9 months in Germany, and and we divorced when we went to college.
And the legal field, who would you know from?
My aunts are always there returning with me.
Is that her area that she has always specialized in?
That and wills and things like that. Her husband was a corporate attorney.
No criminal anywhere.
My husband never got.
And what about in the medical field?
Both of my aunts and my dad's side are nurses.
Any of them work with children?
My one aunt, she spent a lot of time in the ER, and she did ORD, and then she went into senior citizens. And my other aunt, because my grandmother died of Alzheimer's, she also went into that. She was a school nurse for a while.
What about in the IT field?
Well, that's what my dad,
Your father?
my brother did. My brother, I think, is in some part of the CIA.
Oh, okay.
He does IT and travels to different military establishments.
About how long has he been involved with that?
We looked at the Pentagon when we got out of the Navy. He said he probably worked there for about 6 years. He got his master's degree in business, and he transferred his field. And he does something, we really don't talk about it, but I think
Sure.
it's something to do with security, computers, and he's farm. But he does.
Those are all important things to know.
Yeah.
And when have you previously served on a jury?
About 12 years ago.
And did you say 20 years ago? 12 years ago. And that was here locally? Do you recall if it was a criminal or a civil case?
It was a divorce case.
Divorce. And were you able to reach a verdict? Were you the foreperson? And what church or religious organization do you belong to?
We belong to St. Simon's Community Church and also Bible Baptist Church in Anderson.
Is that when you go home, you go to the home church, and when you're here?
I'm also very prominent in the church.
Okay.
So she does a lot for the church, and she's a retired board.
This is your mother-in-law?
Yes.
And how long has she been retired from that profession? Approximately.
I think about 5 years ago.
Okay.
Part-time about 10 years ago. And I think she went part-time, but I think she officially retired about 5 years ago.
So not that long ago, she was still in the field and taking down cases. Did she ever talk about any of the cases she reported on, anything like that, or just ready at the end of the day? She just puts it up and she's done.
So that's when, her daughter would do typing for her. She would be more involved in that field. We go home, we don't discuss work.
Sure. You don't do any social media whatsoever?
No.
Don't even have an account somewhere that you don't use? Nothing? All right.
Every person, they are on me. They send me a letter and ask if it's on Facebook. I don't.
And I see you're getting a pat there from your fellow jurors, encouraging you also.
I just got a computer, my own computer 4 years ago. And I think I was on the computer probably maybe 2 years before.
And your computer, do you use that mostly for your business transactions, or do you also do emailing and that kind of thing to family? Or
To email or go to People Magazine, sometimes TMZ. I shop. I have to do purchasing for a business, so I'm on Home Depot, Walmart, Lowe's, price comparison. But and then I play games on Tandy.com while I'm doing laundry or
sure.
whatever. I'll sit down and play time management as well.
What about legal TV shows? What are the ones that you look forward to watching?
It's the longest.
What's the top at the top? The top two?
Well, my favorite is Judge Judy.
Okay.
I watch her every day. My husband and I at 7 o'clock. And I watch People's Court. And then every Sunday I watch my favorite judge.
All right. Snapped. Got it. And docudramas or some type of documentary about a real life case, anything like that?
I watch a lot of Dateline. Either at the same time or I'll watch it on ID and repeat. Just depending on
What about real trials that have happened? Have you followed anything? We've heard O.J. come up a couple of times, Casey Anthony.
My husband and I did that, but my mother and I didn't watch the case Anthony trial. And I also was real interested in the baby Daniel when they were doing that. The daddy. I was very interested in that.
Right. When have you volunteered with children? Whatever he's involved with, you've kind of gotten involved with that.
Yeah, I did lunchroom duty, opening up ketchup packages. I worked in the library, field trips, reading to children, hall monitor, anything that they may need, anything that the teacher they should always sign up for volunteer if they needed help.
When have you cared for someone else?
Recently, it was my neighbor. She had MS, and we've been neighbors for 16 years. And her husband took ill, he got Mercer's, and the family asked if I would walk across the street and feed them something, get ready for bed. I did that until he passed, and then when he passed, I would be a fill. Fill in for nurses and housekeepers that they needed to have come in until they could get into assisted living. And that was probably for a couple of months, work with physical therapists.
So it was pretty involved for that couple of months there. It sounds a lot going on.
It was kind of traumatic because she lost her husband.
Sorry. Well, she's very lucky that she had you there.
Right.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about a time when you would have given a statement to a law enforcement officer on some type of incident or something that happened.
I was thinking about that. The only time I've ever given a usual statement was in a legal deposition.
Okay.
I was in an automobile accident when I was 15, and one of the people that were in the car was suing me, and I had to leave the deposition. The only thing I ever did.
And who do you know that's been arrested?
I know a couple of people that have been arrested. They have Jay Rollins, but I didn't know him when they were arrested. I only got to know him through other friends. The only one of the felons because one evening at a bonfire, the topic of voting came up, and that's when I found out the felons couldn't vote. What they did, I don't know.
And you don't know anything even generally about charges or anything? Just
I think one of them may have been drugs, and I think the other one was an act of violence of some kind. I know that the one drugs was, I think, 6 years he was in prison, and I think the other was close to 14 years.
the act of violence, you believe, was a 14-year?
Yeah, I do. He ended up marrying a very dear friend of mine. They're now,
They've since split.
yes, they're one year eventually.
Okay. And with those folks that you mentioned, and I know you don't know a lot of detail about it, but just sounds like there was some conversation that came up in the bonfire in this social setting. Anybody voicing any opinions? Do you have any opinion about whether they were treated fairly from what you know about it? No idea.
I have no idea. They don't seem to be mostly aware. They're good personalities.
Okay.
working, and living, doing it the right way now.
Sure.
You know,
Okay.
take people at face value.
And when you've known someone who has experienced the sudden death of a child?
Yes, a very dear friend of mine lost her first grandchild due to negligence from about 5 years.
I'm sorry to hear that. After 6
6 days.
Okay. And you know someone who's been the victim of a homicide?
Yes.
Who would that be?
I had another friend, local, that we used to socialize with, and her son was in a drug rage and ended up stabbing and killing his mother.
Very sorry.
About 5-6 years ago.
And that was here locally?
Yes.
Did you follow that case and what happened
Just
with it?
through friends, conversations at social gatherings. I didn't attend any of the court proceedings. It was all second-hand information.
Is there anything about any of that that would impact your ability to be fair and impartial in this case? You have some family that lives in Cobb County now or has in the past?
I think it's somewhere. I just went to a family reunion here, and they're kind of spread out. But I don't know exactly. I wouldn't know how to get one of them. I told my husband when I got back, I will never ever drive in that city again.
It's a crazy place, isn't
I'm
it?
sorry, I'm just not. I'm sure.
Imagine if you had to do it every day, twice a day.
I can understand why when you come to St. Simon's, I do understand the speeding and maybe a little bit of the aggressiveness. So I forgive y'all now. I understand what y'all go through on a daily basis, so I'm a lot more forgiving.
Different breed of driver in the Atlanta area.
I can commend y'all.
Well, we appreciate
Killing each other.
it. Do you recall what city or any?
My cousin's wife she manages the Hyatt Regency.
Okay.
And she got us rooms close to where she lives. She said we were 15 minutes away. Well, it took me 40 minutes to get there, so I had no idea. I mean, she was supposedly within 15 minutes of where we were staying.
Okay. And do you remember the hotel you stayed at? Do you remember it being just off of an interstate or close to a
interstate? And there was some kind of arts and right across, when I looked out the window, I could see some kind of arts and humanities building. I seem to remember that, and there was another, it was like a little mini industrial area.
Okay.
It was a hotel that was so noisy that you couldn't sleep. It had the rooms in the center was open. And the bar stayed open all night. Yeah. It was that hotel.
Okay. All right. And I believe those are all the questions I have for you at this time. I know there's one other thing we need to talk about with you privately, but appreciate it. Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. G. How are you this morning?
Doing fine.
Good. All right. I hope I've not been one of those people who's cut you off or driven aggressively around you or anything of that nature, but
I have a lot of respect for y'all. I really do. It was a very eye-opening experience.
sure. And were you there having to, sound like you were in pretty heavy traffic whenever you were there?
Yes.
Do you remember what time of day it was? Was it
Well,
evening rush hour?
I know that I came to a dead stop on the interstate at 1:20 in the afternoon and did not move until about 2:15.
Okay.
Then once we got to the hotel and I got my legs stopped shaking, we rested for a few minutes and they got back in the car about 4:30.
Okay.
And right ahead, and like I said, it took
Took forever.
minutes to get there.
Right.
I don't know.
I got you.
I mean, I don't.
Do you remember seeing a lot of planes flying over your head at some point? Okay. You usually lets us know if you're somewhere near the airport. That's the easy way to remember that. Cause,
Yeah, I don't remember. I think I saw one when we were on the interstate coming in.
okay.
I was too busy paying attention to the crazy drivers.
Were you actually driving or were you riding? Okay. Well, then you were doing the right thing then. That's
Well, a teenager passed us going extremely too fast and cutting in and out of traffic, and it scared me.
Sure.
I told my son, I said, she's going to end up hurting herself or causing an accident. We got 5 miles up the road, and she was
Sure.
in the middle of a 5-car pile.
wow.
So once that happened, it kind of shakes you up a little bit.
Absolutely. And you were paying real close attention already, but even more so after that is my guess.
My knuckles were white, and I really needed the glasses on. Either that or a tranquilizer.
Right.
One of which I could have since I had to go back to the water.
And have you been back since then?
No. Next time I go to my husband's car.
Fair enough. All right. The work that you do, you indicated there's a very large house that you're kind of responsible for. And was there a second house as well, or do you have multiple houses you're responsible for?
I had one that's I had 2 that are just shy of 20,000 square feet.
I got you. And they take up your time pretty well.
Yes, I have the one family that I take care of starting just through the season.
Right.
They're a family of 12.
Oh, wow.
And so I take care of them, and then she comes in with small fellowship groups. They're from North Carolina.
Right.
Usually with anywhere from 6 to 8 ladies.
Okay.
I go in and I take care of them.
When you say you take care of them, are you feeding them, preparing food?
Breakfast.
Okay.
I clean the house, run errands, run by the grocery store if they need that.
Okay.
I need to watch a child until the nanny gets there.
Right.
Just whatever the family may need while they're here to make their time here more enjoyable.
Sure. Okay. And is this somebody that you knew beforehand, or?
No, I had to interview for this.
Okay. All right. Very good. I envisioned that it's people that just have second houses and you're just kind of checking on them while they're out of town, but you're actually engaged while they're here.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
For 2.
Okay.
For the other 2, I'm like a user.
Okay. You need something? Right.
Before and after, just kind of...
Just check on stuff and see if there's
When we put the house back together, a couple of them I'll find leaks or
Sure.
ants, or there may be a tiny something like that.
You call the plumber and have it taken care of for them. And
Some I do. Some I just contact the homeowner and they like clean up those things.
okay.
So it's just, it depends on the person. Everybody's different.
Sure. And if you're asked to watch a child or anything, would you be transporting a child, someone else's child, in any place?
Have transported other children.
Okay. Is that mainly out of St. Simon's, or is that here in Brunswick, or is that all over?
Well, my sister has a 3-year-old.
Okay.
And so when she left her husband, I did a lot of babysitting for him. So I was taking the child to drop him off with his father.
Okay. Okay.
And picking him up.
Okay.
So that kind of thing.
Anything during the week as far as daycare or school or anything like that?
Only if the child gets sick and I need to go get him.
I got you.
And that happened to me.
Did you just keep a car seat in your car during that time frame, or go find it and track it down and then go get them? Okay. Did you get pretty efficient at taking one in and out?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Was it very difficult, the one that you were using, or did it work pretty easily?
The first time, I wanted to pull my hair out.
Right.
But once I got the gist of how it was to go,
Right.
then it went real smooth.
I got you.
It took a few minutes.
It takes an engineer the first time to figure out.
It changed a lot since
Right.
my son was born.
Okay.
So,
All right. You also mentioned, I think, one of our questions about maybe, I guess, when your child was young in a car seat, being one of these children that sleeps very well in the car seat.
We would have to when my husband and I would come to Brunswick to do anything,
Yes, ma'am.
we would have to time it at nap time.
Okay.
Because if we didn't time it at nap time,
Messed up the
then
schedule.
he was up all night long. My son would fall asleep on the bus coming home from school. One day he actually, I had fallen asleep
Right.
getting on the school bus.
Right.
And he had fallen asleep on the bus. And needless to say, I went into panic mode because he did not
Wasn't
open
there.
the door.
Right.
And I got a phone call from the bus driver.
Okay.
And she was going to drop him back off at the middle school and high school. And from that point on, he was banished to the front seat
Gotcha.
until we got off the school.
Did she actually find him asleep on the bus, or did he wake up and come tell her?
Actually, I think one of the teenagers
I
that
gotcha.
got on the bus found him asleep.
I got you.
But he, from that point on, had to be sick.
Okay. Did he continue to sleep well in the front seat?
He still, to this day, when we go to Macon for
Right.
Christmas,
Right.
he doesn't make it to the end of the course when he's 23. Of course, it does make a pleasant trip for my husband and I.
I guess it makes it quiet at least.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And the trip from here to Macon certainly is not terribly traffic intensive. How about Macon itself? Did you find that to be, their traffic to be too bad, or is it okay?
It's gotten worse. My in-laws are on Windley,
Okay.
the north side, and the last time we were there cutting down trees and all that, it did
Right.
get a lot congested.
Sure.
But that's the area, that's where I learned to drive.
Okay.
I'm very familiar with Macon.
Okay.
My family, both sides were originally from.
I was going to ask you where you were from originally.
Originally from Macon.
Okay.
And parents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Then we migrated here.
Okay. And what brought you here?
My mother wanted to be close to her first grandparent.
Okay.
She was working here, and she got my husband in touch with a builder. And so when we first moved here, we started painting and construction.
Okay.
We ran a paint group for a while. And then with all the taxes and everything, it's a lot more profitable. It's just,
Sure. Okay. And so, did you say she moved here to be close to the grandchild, or you moved here to because she wanted to be close to the grandchild? Was that your child, or is that another family member's? Okay.
I'm not old.
So you were already here before she moved here.
No, she was here.
Okay.
We lived in Macon.
Oh, I got you. Y'all moved toward her.
And then we moved here when I was 7.5 months pregnant.
I got you. And what brought her here?
Well, I don't know. A long time ago, we owned a restaurant on the island.
Okay.
My aunt, my uncle was the first one to move here,
Okay.
and he's an architect, Brownsville with Lamar there. And then my aunt graduated from law school, Mercer.
Okay.
And she got a position with a law firm here. And then about the same time, my uncle wanted to open a restaurant, so my mother, who was the vice president of Flagship Mortgage in Tampa, she was in Tampa, moved here. She got a job at First Federal. So
Basically, family members just started kind of moving here.
it's such a nice spot.
Absolutely.
It really is.
Okay. Your aunt that graduated from Mercer, did she practice law here? Is she still practicing?
Oh, yeah, she has her own law firm.
Do you know what sort of law she practices?
She's real estate, and she'll do wills or, I don't know, corporations.
Right. Okay. She's not she doesn't come to court very often then, probably, as far as you know. All right. You said you don't use social media at all. Is there a reason why that you just choose not to do that? A personal reason, or just...
Well, I'm not a person that likes to sit still,
Okay.
and I don't like to waste time.
Okay.
And
Well,
Facebook requires you to sit down, and according to my stepmother, you can get lost in Facebook, and time just has a tendency to slip away.
I gotcha.
And so I try to stay active.
Okay. And what do you do actively? Other than working, obviously, but do you do any other sort of things?
Garden.
Okay.
If I get real foggy, I'll refinish a piece of furniture. I want to get into a project.
Okay.
I got a couple of chairs right now that I'm working on for the house.
Okay.
So I try to stay, I like to stay busy. I have 3 dogs and a cat.
Okay.
They keep me pretty active. I'm a homebody.
Gotcha. Are you an early riser? Someone who gets up early and gets going quickly?
No,
Okay.
I'm not a morning person.
Okay.
No.
All right, but it's not, in other words, it's not a personal issue or belief or something that you think computer and social media are just bad or anything. You prefer not to use your time that way.
Well, if I sit on the computer, I play games.
I got you.
And that's just, I don't know, usually that's all I do.
Okay.
My husband has a Facebook account, and if my brother posts something and he wants me to see it, I will go in and look at, my brother's a mechanic, and he built my niece a car, a
Oh, wow.
1966 Mustang.
Wow.
And, well, actually, they did.
Okay.
She did it, too.
Did she?
And so I'll look at pictures from when she does car shows now. She's 17.
Wow.
I'll go in there and look at that kind of thing.
Sure.
I have twins that were born a couple of years ago to a cousin. I'll go in there and when they post, maybe twice a year.
But you're able to resist the urge to check on what everybody else is doing.
I'm just scared if I got on that Facebook that I would be sedentary.
I got you.
That I would just get so engrossed in it and that I would not get anything done.
Gotcha.
And my husband, I think, feels that way too.
Let me say, do other people in your home use a computer pretty regularly?
Most husband stays on the computer.
Okay.
He designed his own website and he tracks our spending. We can pay for electricity in 2001.
Right.
So he started off with, I guess, building his own computer was on DOS.
Right. Long time ago. Sure.
And then since my father was in computers in the Navy, he gave him an 8 set VHS. And so he learned how to build computers.
Oh, really?
And then so he's been doing it for over 20 years, but he does it for himself.
Okay.
And for our business.
And the business now, is that painting and that sort of thing, refinishing, if you will?
Well, my husband and I have a painting and home maintenance. Anything that
Home maintenance. Okay.
he does it all. We prepare electrical and minor plumbing. Our primary is painting, and then I myself have my own cleaning,
Okay.
and then I also work for him.
And do you have any employees that work for you at all?
Me,
Okay. And are you part of any sort of group activities?
my husband and I used to country line dance.
Okay.
He's married for about 5 years.
It's real hard to line dance without at least some group of folks.
Oh, we have a blast.
All right. And did you have at some point some supervisory capacity?
Only when we were running paint books.
Okay.
And that was many years ago. And that was just mainly to,
As needed basis.
well,
Get
just to make
fresh.
sure they were doing what they're supposed to be doing, dropping off supplies, picking up. Mainly did payroll.
Indicate that y'all have hired an attorney at some point in time.
We have, right now, we are in a property dispute
Okay.
with my neighbor.
Okay.
And it's pretty major.
Okay.
And so we do have an attorney that we are in contact with,
Okay.
trying to come up with a resolution
Okay.
to the problem.
Does this say where the property line is dispute? Or is it a
Well,
tree or?
Actually, the neighbor did an addition to a storage shed,
Okay.
a bathroom and kitchen.
Okay.
And when they put the bathroom and kitchen on, it's on my property.
I got you.
All the plumbing, and in doing that, we've had to do a lot of research. They didn't get a building permit for the bathroom and kitchen.
Right. Of course.
We had a survey when we bought the property 16 years ago, and apparently it was now wet fraud. We had to have that redone and to show the 7.5 foot discrepancy.
I got you. Sound like that's just in the stages of trying to come to some resolution, not coming to court and having people testify or depositions.
You know, this has been going on about 18 months.
Okay.
The owner of the property with several issues that we were having.
Okay.
The new survey was just issued over.
Okay. The work you did at your son's school, I think you said he's 23 now, so obviously he's been out of that for some time. Did you ever do any other sort of volunteer work with kids these days? No, just too busy with your...
Keeping up with the neighborhood kids.
Sure.
That was a lot of volunteering.
Okay. Did you see any other, you said you go to St. Simon's Community Church, did you see any of the other attenders of that church when you were here the first day, Monday of last week?
Our church is so large.
Sure. Okay. We've had 2 or 3 other folks, and sometimes I know in a big place it's hard to see. And y'all have 2 different services, I believe.
We do, and our church has gotten so large that 3 weeks ago we had a video announcement that they had to turn away 40 cars.
Wow.
I do not attend the service. I watch it online.
Okay.
We have
Just a live streaming. Sure.
And if I miss it, then I can always go back and watch it.
On demand? Sure.
Yes. So the parking lot issue is a real issue.
Absolutely. Did you go to the early service or the late service when you
I
went?
just attended the 11th.
Okay.
I was more involved with the youth program there.
Okay.
My son was very active in the youth program, so I mainly know the people that dealt with the youth, counselors.
And they don't have a traditional Sunday school model there, is that right? Those in small groups? And let me ask you this before you don't have to go into the details of it. My question is, have you ever been involved in leading a small group or doing those small group activities? Some of what you were saying when you're talking about the situation, unfortunately, involving your friend that was killed, I wasn't able to hear all of that. Is that something that's pending now or something that happened in the past?
No, he was, that trial was happening.
Okay. And I understood you say you weren't attending the court and watching all that. Okay. And you did not testify in that case. Was it resolved to your satisfaction ultimately, that case?
Not really.
Okay. Was the person not convicted?
He wasn't.
Okay.
Well, let me take that back. He was convicted. He just was not convicted of murder.
I got you.
I don't know exactly what he was convicted of.
Okay.
I do know that he was not a murderer.
I got you. Okay. Anything about that situation that causes you any concern about the justice system and how it works, or did that leave you frustrated? Or
I wasn't on the jury, so I didn't get to hear what was said. I
got
wasn't
you.
in the courtroom. I have to go by what they saw or heard.
fair enough. defer to the folks who actually saw the evidence and what they thought. Okay. Very good. Thank you, ma'am. We'll take up those other matters one-on-one. Thank you.
Good morning.
Did I say something before you started looking?
Juror 21 has something she wants to speak.
Go ahead.
Something very simple and very short.
Sure.
I'm a very private person, and I've never served or I've never done this type of thing before. And I'm kind of shocked at the level of questioning, into private affairs. I'm not speaking for anyone else, but dragging up old memories and old events, and really rather frustrating, emotionally involved. That said, I do appreciate very much what y'all have all done to make us as comfortable as possible. That y'all are empathetic, with the situation, and I do appreciate that. So this is not as tough as that it could be, but it's pretty tough.
I understand. Thank you for letting us know. And if any of these questions that I ask, I know that I don't have as much for you as I've had for some other jurors. The same applies if it's something that is, like the judge said, we need you to tell us if it's personal to you. We will create the best situation that we possibly can to make you as comfortable as we possibly can. All right? All right. So we'll just talk about your employment background. You're currently a physician's assistant?
Yes.
All right. And how long have you been doing that type of work?
About 25 years.
Any other line of work you've been in before that?
Well, as old as I am now, I was bartending for a while. I was in real estate. I worked in administration at the Fulton County Medical Society in Atlanta. I substitute taught, that sort of thing.
And currently you are a PA in what type of office?
Endocrine.
Have you ever worked with children?
No.
I'm going to revisit that Fulton connection you have in just a minute. So we'll move on, so I don't forget, to talk about your husband is retired from Lockheed.
Correct.
And
So was my father.
is that from Marietta?
Yes.
All right. And both worked full careers in Marietta at the Lockheed. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump into that question now then about Cobb County. Obviously we've got that you've lived in Cobb County, you've got family in Cobb County, so now making that connection, it sounds like a lot of roots in your family are
I was
with...
raised in Marietta
Okay.
through high school.
All right.
Then I went to college in South Carolina. But my first PA employment, well, my second, we were living in Cartersville at the time and commuted to Atlanta every day. I did.
So you can relate to the frustration. You can relate to the frustrations.
I mean, it's not to say it's easy, but I mean, if you do it every day, it's not as stressful as it could be. I worked salary, so I got there when I got there. My physicians were very understanding.
Maybe not like Juror 20, who does this once in a while, and it's a traumatic experience to go into traffic. All right. So you're obviously familiar with Cobb County. You've lived there. You're from there. The area around the Cumberland Mall, you're familiar with that? Have you?
Well, not since it's really overdeveloped at this point, but I used to go to Cumberland Mall, yes.
How long has it been, would you estimate, since you've frequented that area that you're familiar with streets and intersections and that kind of thing?
Probably 8 to 10 years.
So would you say at this point, are you even at all familiar with what restaurants or stores or anything like that? Just generally the area, you would know how to get to it using the highways, but other than that, not much. All right. And I've got that you have 2 children.
Yes.
A daughter who's 32 and a son who's 27. 3 beautiful grandchildren, 4, 3, and 2 weeks.
Yes.
just a tiny baby. And do they live close by?
No, they're up in Cartersville, which is about 30 miles above Marietta. We own some property up there and sold it to them, and then moved down here. So we commute, my husband and I commute a lot, from down here up there to see them.
Okay. How often would you say that you make that drive?
Every 2 or 3 months. It's about 5.5 hours. It's no fun.
And tell me about it. And are all of those children they live in the Cartersville home? They're all,
that's correct.
Okay. All right. And with those grandchildren, probably not at all with the tiniest little new one at 2 weeks, but the 4 and the 3-year-old, have you transported them at all in your car? Had to deal with the car seat and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it started out to be a rather nightmare. But a good situation. My daughter was put on bed rest for a while, and I transported the kids to and from their little preschool situation. And the car seats were a nightmare. One was facing forward, one was facing back. And they knew better than I how to put the.
And what type of car was that you were in at that time?
We were in an Expedition. It was my daughter's car.
So you were driving her vehicle that already had the seats in it?
Right.
Understood. Right. That probably worked out better than having to move them back and forth for that. Okay. People that you know that work in the court system?
Court system, okay. Locally and up there, Rob Flanoy was an attorney, handled our wills and that. I think he's a Superior Court judge now.
He is.
I don't stay in close contact, but he had helped us in the past. And his son, Matt Flanoy, is a lawyer, and he's handling my mother's will.
Okay.
And so I know him. I grew up with both of them.
Okay.
In high school.
All right, so went to high school. Did you live in the same neighborhood, or?
Well, we went to the same, yeah, but I mean, it was within 5 miles. Yes. Went to the same schools.
Okay. And what about with your connections down here?
Stephen Scarlett is a distant cousin. He's a judge here.
I have learned that since I've been down here. I've learned that since I've been down here. I'm trying to learn everybody's names down here. All right. And you said he's a distant cousin. Do you spend any time at all with him?
We only had really one connection. No, I'll just say no. We did have an issue with a cemetery, and he had to get involved, and so we had some social contact there, but nothing on a professional basis.
What about military?
My father was in the Air Force. He's a pilot, and the only other thing is my husband serves as a Coast Guard auxiliary member.
Coast Guard, yes.
So we go to functions, we do things, working with the Coast Guard indirectly.
I would have thought, too, being in this area, there would be a little bit more Coast Guard. But 2 out of this panel is good, and we know it's still a very good friend of this juror. So. Oh, well, he was after the incident. At least we know that. That didn't change your opinion of him. All right. And anyone else that you'd like to tell us about military connection?
I
Okay. And what about in the medical field?
Well, as a PA, of course, I know locally all of the physicians. I worked, my first career was endocrine, and that was up in Floyd County.
Okay.
And above Marietta, or actually west of Marietta. And then in Atlanta, I worked with a group of physicians in critical medicine, but it was a long-term acute care facility where most of my patients were on vent.
Okay.
So I was quite aware of all the physicians in that area. And then down here, I've worked for several doctors. So I'm familiar with the physicians in this area.
Anybody that you work with that you also have developed a close friendship with that you socialize with?
Non-independent of the hospital.
And what church or religious organization do you belong?
United Methodist on the island.
And legal TV shows, do you have a couple that are you regularly like to catch? Or?
Well, I was very involved with Criminal Minds and a little bit of the NCIS just because of the characters.
Okay. And nothing reality-based, no talk shows or anything like that? All right. And volunteering with children?
Well, I haven't done anything recently, but I used to be a Sunday school teacher.
Is that at the United Methodist?
No, this was back in Marietta.
Okay. And have you have written down that you've made a statement to police or been involved in something where you had to give information?
Well, it was a sweet, interesting little case. I was hit by, at an intersection, I was hit by a very young boy. I guess he just turned 16. His grandfather was in the car with him. And I mean, I was fine. The cars were getting up. The police came and I gave a statement of what happened. And those people were crying and everything. It was very involved. And, we just sort of all stood there and discussed it, and he took my statement. He seemed very compassionate.
Nobody was hurt, just some damage to the cars, and people were upset. Okay. Well, I hope that wasn't too terribly bad.
No, I feel we're sorry for them and for us.
All right. And I think that I don't have any more questions for you at this time because I had those follow-up questions with Cobb, but we've already gone into all that. So I know there will be at least one thing we'll take up privately. But Mr. Lumpkin will have some questions at this time. So thank you.
You appear to be pretty comfortable with this, but if there's anything that we ask that you just feel is too private, certainly just let me know, okay? When you taught the Sunday school class in Marietta, was that First Methodist Church, or where were you attending?
It was a Presbyterian church.
Okay. What age group was that?
6, 7, and 8.
Okay. All right. And you have mentioned living in Cartersville, but at one point you actually lived in Cobb County, correct? Or no?
Marietta.
In Marietta, okay. I think you were telling us, I just didn't get it written down in the right spot. And how long ago was that? 8, 10 years ago?
Much longer than that.
Okay.
It was in the 50s and 60s.
I got you.
Early 70s.
Well, it's probably changed a little bit since then, is my guess.
Somebody mentioned the big chicken.
Yes,
It's one of the standard landmarks.
absolutely. It was there already, certainly.
It was Kentucky Fried Chicken at the time.
Right.
It's now Church's.
Okay. Well, there's actually still a KFC.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they'll ever sell that landmark until they sell the land, I guess. But all right. You had mentioned one of the questions we asked about experiencing or seeing someone who's experiencing shock. Is that something that you're comfortable talking about, or?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's always very sad. I worked for an oncologist for 6 years. I worked in critical medicine. Unfortunately, I saw a lot of death and dying.
Gotcha. Okay.
Some of it acutely, and some of it was, slow situation. But I had to deal with family members who were in shock.
Okay. And did you see a whole range of emotions in that? Did that ever involve children at all? Children dying?
No, I was fortunate I didn't have to. I never worked with children.
Right.
All my patients were adults.
I got you.
Teenagers and adults.
Okay. ever in a situation where you had to try to subdue somebody who was in shock, who was just hysterical?
Yes.
Okay.
It would be emotionally subdued. Yeah.
Right. In other words, you never had to take somebody under physical restraint or anything of that nature. All right. I think that may be, and we've covered everything else pretty well. I want to ask you a little, just briefly, about when you lived in Cartersville, driving down. As I understand, you were driving downtown Atlanta to work, or? Okay. And how long? What period of time did you do that? Over a year, less than a year?
Oh no, it was. I worked down there for about 6 years.
Okay.
And then I also went to Emory.
Oh wow.
For 2 years.
Okay. And did you get in a pretty strict routine of when you would leave and when you'd get there and all that?
Children I had to drop off, one in daycare, one in primary, elementary school.
Right.
And then downtown.
There's some days that you get to work and just wonder what happened to the last 30, 45 minutes being in traffic, or?
Some days I got to work and I was thinking, my God, thank God I'm at work.
Right.
I don't never, I'm sure I had blank times when I went on and it was automated.
Right.
But it was a matter of getting there on time.
Sure. And 5 minutes here and there can make all the difference. All right. I think the rest of it we'll address individually. Thank you.
Good morning. So you do landscaping. How long have you been doing that?
Since 2009.
What were you doing before that?
I worked at CPAC. I ran computer baggers and worked in maintenance for 17 and a half years.
And what type of landscaping is that? Residential, commercial, both?
Yeah.
Okay. Both?
Yeah.
Okay. And your husband is a semi-truck driver?
Yes, we own our semi.
Okay. And explain to me, so does that mean he can pick which jobs he contracts on versus the company telling him this is what you're going to be doing?
He does both.
Okay. Has that been his career?
Yes.
You have 2 children, 43 and 38?
Yes.
And 3 grandchildren, 24, 17, and 20?
Yes.
Okay. Did they live nearby?
The 24-year-old lives with me. The 17-year lives around the corner with my daughter. And my other one lives in Jessup.
And your experience in management and with hiring and firing, is that through your current job, your former job, or both?
Both.
And about how many employees would you supervise at any given time?
When I worked at CPAC, I did 6 bagger machines. In other words, I showed them what to do, when to do it, and everything else. When new people come in, and you got some people that was afraid of their job. I wasn't afraid of my job, so I showed the guy how to fix on the machine. I guess that's a man thing.
That is a skilled thing,
Yeah.
I would say.
I wasn't afraid. Like, if he was afraid, I'd go over there and show him anyway.
Good for you. All right, and your connections to law enforcement?
Well, I work for clients, and then I have a cousin that practices over in Darien.
Okay. And you said practice, is that an attorney? Or law enforcement, a police officer?
My nephew joined the Army and he did policeman through Afghanistan, over in Germany, and he does it in Evansville, Indiana, where I was born in.
And in the medical field?
My mother was a nurse. I have 5 cousins that are nurses in Pennsylvania.
Any of them work with children?
My mother worked in pediatric till my baby died. And then I lost the one back in 77, and after that she went outpatient.
Sorry to hear that. What church or religious organization do you belong to?
The one across the street, Advent Christian.
Advent Christian.
And then I go to Blackshear. My brother's a preacher, and he's a Pentecostal preacher. So I go up there to visit him and go to his church.
All right. You don't have a computer or a smartphone or anything like that?
I have it, but I do not know how to use it.
Okay.
My husband has bought me tablets and everything, and they are back in the closet somewhere.
So, like, every Christmas or birthday, he keeps getting a new device, thinking that's going to be the one that...
Yeah, I'm telling you, why are you wasting your money? I got a telephone.
So do you use just the landline at the house?
I use a landline, and I have, as my kids say, an antique cell phone that my clients have called me on. That's it.
And it just takes and gets and sends out calls. It doesn't go on the internet or do anything like that?
No.
And when have you volunteered with children?
When I worked at CPAC, I got off work at 3:15, so I always watched the baby down the street until her mama got off work. She would pay me, but the money went straight to the baby because, you know. And then I did out in California, I watched kids in my home.
About how many would you have at any given time?
5.
What would the age range be of those children?
Well, before school started, so they'd be like 4 and 3 and 2 and probably 1. I mean, you know.
All very small children?
Yeah,
Okay.
oh yes.
And you'd keep them all day?
Oh yes.
That was probably a very busy day for you.
I love it.
All right. And when have you cared for someone else?
My mother died 2 years ago, and she died in my arms.
I'm very sorry.
My brother died 3 years ago, and I took care of him, stayed at the hospital, he stayed at my house. Then when he went to hospice, I lived at the hospital all night long. And then he died in my arms in hospice.
You've had a lot of tragedy over the last couple of years, it sounds.
Yes.
Sorry to hear that. And you have testified or been a witness in a case or come to court before?
Yes, my brothers got in an argument, and then I had to get on the case to say if my brother was retarded or whatever you want to say. And I said no, they did not. They were fighting out in my backyard, but they had sword, and that was a Star Wars sword. And then all that got over with. They released it. And then I told my brother to go upstairs and sign a piece of paper. This is before he really got sick, to drop charges. And he did.
Was this like a plastic sword? Like a toy sword?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did somebody get hurt?
Oh, they had bruises. And they were fist fighting.
Did a neighbor call the police, or what happened? How did?
No, we did.
Okay, you called because it was getting kind of out of hand. It
Yeah.
sounds like, but then you were able to de-escalate it.
Yeah.
So. And someone who has been arrested, is that situation, or is there anything
That was to do the child support of my son.
And the statement to police, is that kind of the same with the brothers and everything going on there? Okay. And you have family in Cobb County, or you have at some point?
Okay, I have at some point. My stepfather worked for Southern Railroad. So they lived in Jonesburg, Leafy Springs, and, you know, we'd go up there. I know one apartment they lived in was right off the freeway and wasn't far from Six Flags. And then we'd go shopping with the Penny's Outlet and another mall on the other side of town.
How long has it been since you've been up that way?
A good 5 years.
I believe that those are all the questions I had for now. So I know there's a couple things we'll have to take up with you a little bit later. I'm sorry you'll have to come back yet a third time. But I think everybody in this group is going to have to do that, unfortunately, for you all. So we'll talk to you then. Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. C. I want to just get clear in my mind the issue with your brothers. How long ago was that this happened?
My brother's been dead 3 years, so it's been 4 years.
Okay. So he was an adult when it all was going down, obviously. Okay. Do you know what they were fighting about?
Not really.
Okay.
It wasn't long ago. It was stupid.
Sure. But something that they basically took it outside and were fisticuffs and
Yeah, they
okay.
took it outside. They started inside, and I mean, go outside.
It wasn't a play fight with Star Wars swords that just got out of hand. They were mad at each other about something. Okay. And it obviously scared somebody enough to the point of calling 911.
No, I didn't get that bad.
Okay. Who called the police?
I did.
Okay. How did you call the police?
Called the 554, whatever the police is.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Right around the corner from me.
Okay. I guess that's what I'm at. I mean, you called like an emergency number. Hey, would y'all please send somebody over? Okay. And when the police got there, obviously you talked to them about what had happened. Did the police talk to each of them to figure out their side of the story as well? Okay. Were they both arrested or just one of them?
One.
Okay. Do you know why that was?
Huh?
Do you know why only one was arrested and not both of them?
Because the other one started it.
I gotcha. Did they arrest the one who started it or the one who responded?
The one that started.
Okay. Okay. Did they end up, you said you asked one of them to go upstairs and write something to say they wanted to drop the charges. Was this as the police were there?
No.
Okay.
No. We'd already gone to court and everything else, and
Okay, and that's what I was getting at. Did it actually get into a courtroom? All right. And did the brother end up pleading guilty or having a trial, or was it dismissed?
we had to go to trial. And,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Okay. And did you have to testify against your brother?
They asked me, did I see them with any objects
Uh-huh.
besides a fist?
Right, sure.
And I told him, yeah.
Okay.
And then they tried to bring up a shovel and all this, and I said, no, there wasn't no shovel and stuff involved.
Okay. Do you know where that came from? The idea there was a shovel involved?
Because I have equipment outside.
Okay. Do you know, did you hear any of your brothers telling the police that, hey, he pulled that shovel on me or something like that? Or
No, all I heard was something to do with a stick, but I didn't see it.
Okay.
I knew the Star Wars swords.
Okay. And I guess, did that experience, did you see people testify to things that you knew didn't actually happen from your eyewitness of what it really occurred?
Yep.
Okay. And were you ever asked to address, or were you given an opportunity to say, hey, well, that person said happened, that didn't happen at all?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And the brother who was, I guess, the victim of the case, did he testify in the court as well?
Yes.
Okay. Was he wanting the case to go forward?
No.
Okay. But someone was making the case go forward anyway. And do you know who that was?
They had to come back to court. Well, no, let's rephrase it. My older brother that died in my arms was
Right.
pressing the charges. And he's the one I got to drop the charges.
Okay. But that didn't work apparently because you had to come have a trial. Okay. And do you know why that was? Why was
My
it?
brother didn't want to give up. He wanted to get my brother in trouble.
Okay. So you tried to get him to drop charges, but he didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I got
He
you.
ended up doing it.
I got you. Okay. Something you mentioned. Oh, only the semi with your husband. When did y'all purchase the semi? How long ago was that?
We've had semis since 93.
Okay.
We've had different ones.
Okay. And do you have an over-the-road license yourself?
Oh, no.
Okay. So that doesn't interest you. I got you. Have you ever driven and traveled with him long distances? Okay. You just don't want to drive?
No.
Okay. Okay. I think there's a couple other matters that we're going to take up individually. I want to ask you real briefly about the kids that you kept in California. Was this kind of your, I don't know if it was a side job but you were, because with neighborhood kids, they just kind of knew you were someone who'd be willing to kind of keep them in your home?
Yes, we went to school out in California.
Okay.
Because my daddy was in the service.
Right.
I went, finished, graduated out there.
Okay.
Well, we moved back out there. And in between, during school and everything else, I've always watched kids.
Okay. What age were you around that time frame?
19, 20.
Okay. And would these be kids of people that you knew really well?
Yes.
Okay. Did you, obviously you dealt with the parents as they were coming, dropping them off and picking them up, that sort of thing. Did you ever have any parents who were just kind of running in and out, dumping the kids off and headed to work as fast as they could?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Was that more typical, the situation?
Well, we all used to it.
Okay. Okay. All right. I think that's it for now. Thank you so much.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
I know you've seen enough of this that you probably can predict the question and the order as they're going to come. So we're going to do the same exact thing with you by starting with your family business. If you could tell me a little bit about that.
That's a family-run business on St. Simon's. We've been there almost 80 years. My granddad started it. My brother and I are the principals there now, and he has 2 sons.
What are what's your day like on an average? What do you get up and do from morning to night when you're at the business?
Pretty much wait on customers. I call them, the builders, and do a lot of the ordering, do a lot of good work. Wear a lot of hats, whatever needs to be done. Take deliveries.
Whatever the business needs, you're there to do it, sounds like. Okay. All right. And I do not have a spouse down for you or work. Are you married?
I am, and I raised my hand. She works for Cion Company.
Cion Company. Actually, and I do have that. I put it in a different place than I normally do, so I apologize. I did hear that. And does she go to work with you? Do you all work in close proximity? Or?
She's a membership director for Sea Island Company. She's been over there for about 25 years.
All right, I got that a bit confused. Tell me about the Sea Island Company. You're talking about your business is on St. Simon's Island. She works for the Sea Island Company.
She works for the Cloister Resort.
Okay.
Sea Island Company.
And I know to y'all that's like, how could you not know that? And it sounds like a silly question, but
Most of Sea Island's businesses are all in St. Simon, so it's all kind of one and the same.
right, okay. And I have written down that you raised your hand for being involved in some type of a justice project or something, a family member, a friend, anything like that. Does that ring a bell?
Justice Project.
I'm trying to remember how Mr. Boring asked that question. Some type of a criminal defense firm, or do you know anyone that practices criminal law?
I know a lot of attorneys, but I don't remember raising my hand to that question.
What about anyone that works with the court system, other than just attorneys? Like, do you know anyone who works in the clerk's office, or any judges, or anything like that?
My first cousin is Judge George Roundtree. He's been a judge in Lynn County for a long time. I don't have any relatives or friends that work here. I don't believe.
And obviously, from what you've told us about your family business, it sounds like every day you have supervisory responsibilities, you hire and fire, and you determine what's the best need and fit for your company and make those decisions. In law enforcement, do you have friends or family in law enforcement?
Well, I grew up with the Alexander family. Carl Alexander was the chief of police in Brunswick for many, many years. He actually was the director of security at Sea Island Company now. He works with my wife very closely. I grew up, went to high school with Wayne Bennett, who was the sheriff here for many years. So, pretty good friend with those guys.
And those are people that you would socialize with, you and your wife might have dinner or spend time with on the weekends?
I wouldn't say that close. I run into them at benefits or barbecues or political things. So I see them occasionally. I don't go to dinner, that kind of thing.
What about talking with them about things that they've seen on the job, what goes on in certain cases, anything like that?
If ever, rarely.
What about military connections for you?
My mom was killed on the Normandy invasion. That's the closest relative.
Sorry about that. It's pretty significant, though. And in the legal community, I think we've already covered all of that. Medical, I don't know that we've talked about medical yet. Who are you affiliated with in medical?
I'm family friends with Dr. Seaberg, Eric Seaberg, Good Max, Bill Laws, mainly because their kids grew up with my kids. So I've known that for a long time. I know some anesthesiologists, Adriana Rodriguez.
And those are all local in this local area?
I've been around a long time. My doctor's Dr. Hine, Dr. David Hine. My wife's doctor is Marcy Certain. I'm also friends with your son, Nassar. So I know a lot of the families.
You have previously served on a jury?
I had one time, it was an armed robbery at the convenience store. Right around the corner, as a matter of fact.
Do you know about how long ago that was that you sat on that jury?
Probably close to 20 years ago. I'm not sure exactly.
Do you recall whether or not you were able to reach a verdict in that case?
He was good.
Okay. And were you the foreperson?
I was not.
And what church or religious organization do you belong? And fraternal organizations for you? Or
No, not really. I've been involved with the St. Simon Land Trust, and I've also been involved with the Hawful Plantation Historic Site, where I do the tagging of the reenactments. So I'm involved in some organizations like that.
Probably have something in common with this gentleman in front of you then.
Our families go way back.
All right. And when have you volunteered with children?
Coaching youth sports, the kids are coming up, and we also, my wife and I taught some Sunday school, and we participated in the youth group, chaperone on ski trips with the youth group, that kind of thing.
And your children, I have written down that you have 3 children, 2 girls and a boy, 31, 28, and 27. Is that correct? But no grandchildren yet.
Not yet.
Okay. But you want some.
Not quite ready. I'm sure it's everything's cracked up to be okay right now.
And when have you cared for another?
Well, my in-laws retired here, and they passed away in the last 3 or 4 years. They were 91 and 90. They ran out of the senior care center and hospice, and I didn't really care for them as much as I did take them to the doctor quite a few times because my wife was working. I could get away when he was good sometimes, so I tried to get out and do that one.
I'm sorry to hear that. It sounds like they lived a long and full life. And who do you know that has been arrested?
My daughter.
And just generally, what was the nature of the offense?
Specifically, it was a theft and forgery.
About how long ago?
It's going on right now.
It's actually pending now.
Oddly enough, she was in the courtroom on Monday when I was here the first day.
So, knowing that your daughter currently has a case pending here, and in fact, you just said she was in this courtroom when you were called for jury service, is that in any way going to impact your ability to be fair and impartial in this case?
I don't believe so.
And of course, you know at this point that this is not a judge that normally is down here in Glenn County. We're not in the DA's office here. Our case doesn't have anything to do with Glenn County and this DA's office. Is there anything about that would affect you in any way?
I don't think so.
Okay. When have you been a witness?
Well, that was probably about 20 years ago also. There was a dispute with 2 business partners in the village area on St. Simons. And I was giving brief testimony about which one was doing the most of the sweat equity.
Okay.
Only one stand for a moment.
When have you had the occasion to provide a statement or information to law enforcement?
When I had to call the police department.
Okay, so that incident or the ongoing case that you've told us about, it's related to you. Okay. All right. All right, Sarah, do you have a note that we'll have to follow up with you at some point again? I appreciate your responses. I know Mr. Lumpkin will have some questions for you as well.
A law school classmate of mine who had the same last name as yours, first name Jack. Is that any relative of yours that you know of?
That rings a bell.
Okay. You have family over in the Savannah area and all? Does that? Okay. I think that's where he was from. But. All right. The supervising of employees, have you had to fire some employees over the years?
Sure.
All right. And were you the one basically who had the final say in that and just actually did the firing of folks?
Just kind of a joint effort with my brother and stuff. We kind of discussed things of that nature.
Okay. And this is the family business that you're in now. Is that something that's been in the family for a long time, or did you start the business, or?
No, it's almost 80 years.
Okay.
My granddad started.
That's what I thought. And do you have siblings that are still involved in it now, or are you the only one of your generation now? Your brother?
Yeah, he has 2 sons. That's the only
I got you.
that's in business. Which is plenty.
I'm sure it is. Could be a lot of chiefs in the kitchen, so to speak. All right. The business dispute that you mentioned before, did you hire an attorney for that?
I wasn't involved. I just knew that there were customers of mine.
Right.
They remodeled a bar and restaurant,
Okay.
and they had fallen out, and I was just asking, basically, say which partner was doing what. But
I got you. So you were not a party to the suit. There was just somebody that you knew y'all done work for. I got you. The issue about the arrest of your daughter, I think we'll just deal with that one-on-one maybe. But as far as you're working with kids otherwise, you said you were a Sunday school leader and worked in the youth group at your church. Is that correct? Did you ever hold any other office within the church? Deacon, elder, anything? Okay. And y'all live in Sea Island? On St. Simon's, okay. And did you grow up here? Or has this kind of been where you've lived your whole life for the most part? Okay. Do you have a formal education, college anywhere?
University of Georgia.
Okay. If there's any good place to go to other than here, Athens would be that place. What's your degree in?
General business at the time.
Okay. All right. I have the same note that Ms. Treadaway did to some question about legal aid or helping inmates or anything like that, but that apparently we just got, it's not ringing a bell with you at this point.
It's not ringing a bell.
Okay. Excuse me. And is your wife, did she always work outside the home? Or when your kids were younger, did she stay home with them?
She was part-time during a lot of that. This is full-time.
Okay. Did you ever have the duties of transporting your kids when they were younger back and forth to school or daycare or anything like that?
Sure.
Okay. And was that a regular routine for you, part of what you did, or did y'all just kind of, each day kind of decide who was going to go where?
You just kind of tag teamed it.
I got you.
Did what we could.
Okay. Of course, you just know a lot of folks in the community because of your business and your stature in the community, the former chiefs of police and sheriff and that sort of thing. Would you be so close as maybe contributing to anybody's campaigns and that sort of thing? If folks are running for offices, is that kind of part of the business that you would do? Or okay. I think you say you're pretty comfortable. You don't feel like any of those friendships or associations would prevent you from listening to the evidence in this case, being fair and partial as to the evidence in this case. Okay. All right. Other than a couple of matters we'll take up individually. Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson.
morning, Juror 24.
Good morning.
Last but not least.
I too would like to address, Your Honor, the court, prosecuting attorney, defense attorney, and did hearing number 21, if I may.
Sure.
I read in this morning's paper.
No. If it's about the case, we'll need to take it up privately.
Okay.
Is it about the facts of the case?
Pardon?
Is it about the facts of this case?
No, ma'am. It's about the ages of two of the jurors.
Well, why don't you tell us your age, if you don't mind?
If I do what?
Why don't you tell us your age?
76.
Okay. And are you wanting to do something in light of your age?
I would like to be excused, yes.
All right. That's perfectly fine. Thank you for sharing that with us. Do you have anything to say?
I don't believe so.
Do you have anything to say?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Sharon, is he gone? Mr. Perdue, can you accommodate the juror?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, thank you back again. All right, I'm going to excuse you all to your jury room for a brief recess. And Juror 24, if you will talk to Mr. Perdue, he will assist you. And y'all keep an open mind. Don't discuss the case with each other. Just enjoy this time to relax and be prospective jurors. And y'all get to know each other. That's a good thing.
That's all right for the jury, please. Stuff like that, I'll do that.
Pretty good when you see all my heels on there.
Be seated, please.
Just to fill the record with Juror 24, he's 76 and has the right to exercise his right not to serve given his age. And that's what we all agree to. Is that right, Ms. Treadaway?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, then Mr. Sharon, if you can assist him. We've got a juror in the next group this afternoon who was born in 1938. Somebody born in 1950, that's not going to work. Get it? I don't think. No. 49 won't get it. 54 won't get it. 80. 51. Well, so we have one other potential this afternoon that may have read the newspaper when I won't say anything. Okay, maybe it's just a headline, you know. All right, anyway, let's take a recess of about 10 minutes. What time would that be, Mr. Evans?
My computer shows 10:37.
So this is why you always beat me on the time. I'm old school. Okay. Let's come back at 10 till. Court stands in recess. Y'all might discuss proactively what you want to do about the juror this afternoon who was born in 1938. She's juror 26.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to go ahead and talk to her when she gets here or leave alone?
Certainly we'll speed along the process.
My point